Here's why I'm comfortable giving Draymond the label of good leader. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, there's all kinds of mistakes. But I do think that some of them are a little bit more thought out than we give him credit for. Like, here's another aspect of being a good leader. Sometimes you do have to be the jerk. Again, my frame of reference for leadership usually goes to parenting. That's where I have to do it the most. And I make mistakes every day, every single day. It is the hardest thing, like so many of you parents know. But I also know this, like, you can't just say yes to everything. You can't just say and do exactly what everyone wants you to do, or else you are building spoiled children. And so I'm certainly not attaching that to the punch, but some of the things we rip Draymond for on the court, I do think are premeditated and have a reason behind them. Not always. I think his emotions get the better of him, obviously.
Yeah.
But there are times where being thrown out of the game is the best thing for the Warriors. Why do you think managers and coaches do it in all sports? Getting kicked out sometimes is exactly what your team needs.
Game 5 of the NBA Finals, for example. Great call, Draymond.
Well, yeah. I'm not, again, he's made mistakes.
He sure has.
It doesn't always work. And by the way, he should not have been suspended for that.
Well,
he got LeBron'd. He maybe did it to the wrong guy. Like, that was a chess move, and he made the wrong move.
Right.
I'm not here saying he's perfect.
It was an accumulation of flagrant foul points. And
they knew that, and they made a big deal out of it when it wasn't really that big of a deal.
It's funny
because
it
wasn't that big of a deal.
Nowadays, and we look 5 years later or 7 years later from that, he would probably get a 2-game suspension now.
You think?
Based on what we see now in terms of what's a flagrant and what's not, that automatically would have been a flagrant. That probably would have been a flagrant 2.
I mean, the Embiid thing.
As I said at the time, it was a flagrant 3.
The Embiid thing didn't even lead to a suspension. It's pretty similar. Right? A leg up the you-know-whats.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Again, there have been plenty of missteps.
Sure.
But in the heat of battle, in the heat of moments, decision-making on the fly, you're going to miss some. I think he gets more right than he gets wrong, and I think this is what I've always thought about Draymond. There are eye rolls, there are negatives, there are challenges. I think they're outweighed by the positive. I really do.
I think in terms of his on-court play, yes. But in terms of his leadership, which is what we're talking about, Draymond Green as a leader, I don't think that the positive is outweighing the negative. And I look at a situation now where you basically had to trade your young prize player because he and Draymond couldn't get along. And I don't think that you traded Jordan Poole solely based on the way he was playing basketball. I think you traded Jordan Poole because of the way their relationship devolved, and it was clear that those two would not have been able to coexist this year. And you thought, you know what? With Steph and Clay here, we have a better chance to win with Draymond now than we do with Jordan Poole. Why couldn't they both be on this team? It's because Draymond's leadership.
I disagree. I think that Jordan Poole's gone because just about everybody who matters in that locker room wanted him gone.
Well, I think that it might have been a fixable situation had it not gone the way that it went.
But do you even want it fixed? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. If you like a guy who can get you 20 a night,
but
if you could fix a young player, if you could change, you know what's also simple? Is losing your temper and knocking a guy out. That's
I understand
also
that,
simple.
But I think sometimes with Jordan Poole, based on what our opinions are, we focus on one thing. I'm guilty of it too. You can focus on 20 a game, or you can focus on falling down half the time that you drive.
I focus on all of it. I focus on the fact that he's not a very good defensive player.
Are you happy he's gone, or do you wish he was still here?
Oh, I'm happy he's gone.
Okay.
Because I'm not a huge fan of the way he plays basketball.
Well, then there's no issue here.
Well, the issue is the topic, which is Draymond Green as a leader. And I think that if Draymond Green was a better leader, if he was a good leader, you could have reached this conclusion in a different fashion.
Maybe.
Without having Jordan Poole be in a situation where he absolutely had to go. If you were really a good leader, you would have found a way before you knocked him out in October. Now, maybe you get to February and then you knock him out.
Well,
but you get to October, they'd been together 3 days.
Here's
and
where,
you already are at your wits' end?
Well, no, they weren't together 3 days.
Because they were in their trip to Japan.
No, but they'd been together for a few years. They've
but
been
you come off
teammates
a long
for a few
summer.
years.
You win a championship. Everything should be at its absolute best.
But that's
you go
not
to Japan.
Life. I mean,
well, it's
who
life
knows?
if you're
Who
a good
knows?
leader.
No, but who knows where that relationship was, and who knows? Again, Rick Bucher literally saying a couple hours ago on this station that everybody was fed up. They were all fed up before it even got to that point. So how did everybody get fed up? We're going to blame someone else for that?
We're not blaming anybody for them being fed up.
I'm blaming Jordan.
Well, if you're blaming Jordan,
I'm doing it.
By blaming Jordan, you're saying it was okay he got punched.
No, I'm not. I am saying that the point that all of the Warriors were seemingly and reportedly fed up, if all of the successful, championship-laden, great Warrior players and coaches were fed up with Jordan Poole before he got punched, that's Jordan's fault.
How many of those people who were fed up punched Jordan Poole?
No, don't go there.
I have to go there because the question is Draymond Green.
No, because
the question is he a good leader? Now, Clay was Clay less fed up than Draymond was?
I have no idea.
Or Steph, or Steve Kerr, or Ron Adams.
But nobody is saying the punch was smart. Nobody's saying there's an obvious mistake.
Right.
But the point
is, the question is about his leadership.
Yeah, but I feel like to focus solely on that does two things. One, that's one moment out of many. And two, it is absolving Jordan Poole of some obvious responsibility. I don't care how young he is.
Yeah.
He's not that young. He's not too young to be respectful of greatness, seeing the opportunity, just being good to the people around you, not being a jerk, which is what it sounds like. From all the reports and the comments and all the things, some of them are probably embellished a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's way too much evidence. This is what I've been saying all year.
Right.
There's too much evidence for this to not be on Jordan.
Well, it's not on Jordan.
Why was everybody mad at him?
It's getting punched in the face is not on Jordan.
It's not about the punch. I'm going back before that.
No, you can go back before and you can go to the time after that. You can go wherever you want. I'm simply looking at Draymond Green as a leader. And if you're a leader, if you're a true leader, when Steph felt like it was time for him to lead, he gave a speech.
Yep.
And he said, don't get on the bus if you're not with me. That's leadership. That, to me, is being a good leader. Now, you tell me Steph wasn't fed up in October. Clay was admittedly fed up when he gave those famous quotes coming back from Japan.
Who'd Steph text with before he decided to go give a speech?
He texted with Draymond.
Why?
Because Draymond is a leader.
Thank you.
But he's not a good leader.
Well, I mean, he
texted Draymond and he said, hey, Draymond, should I give a speech or should I knock him out?
Literally, Steph Curry couldn't even give a speech until he had gotten approval of who? The team leader.
It's because that's what Draymond does. He gives speeches.
Because
and how did that work out for Jordan Poole all year after he got punched in the face?
I don't know. How did 4 rings work out? It usually, again.
Again, we can look at one thing. We can look at a punch. We can look at championships. We can look at the totality.
You're never going to get me to think that the punch was smart.
I don't need to get you to think that.
He made a massive mistake.
Right.
I don't think it takes his entire label and reputation away from him. And my goodness, my opinion, if you can't see by now the buildup of evidence that this relationship got to its starting point because of Jordan, I don't know. The whole team feels that way.
No, I'm with you in terms of the nature of the relationship, but I don't think that you're understanding what I'm trying to say in terms of what leadership would look like when addressing a problem, because Jordan Poole's truculence, his arrogance, whatever he was exhibiting that was frustrating Clay and Steph and Draymond and whoever else in the organization, whatever that was, could be dealt with any number of ways.
Of course, I agree with you
completely.
In terms
of leadership, when you're going to deal with a problem, that's where you and I have a difference of opinion.
I agree with you completely on that. The point is, though, is that how this got, like, you have to be willing to be led. That is 1,000% my opinion. This guy was not willing to be led.
See, I think that's a leap.
How can you?
I don't think that we know that.
Wow.
That he was unwilling to be led.
Listen,
he was willing to be led in June when they won the championship.
Right, and then what happened? He screamed into a camera, we're going to get a bag, we're going to get a bag, we're going to get a bag. And
he
from that
was
moment
going to get a
forward,
bag, yeah.
and from that moment forward, ticked off everybody who matters in the Warriors.
So because
and
of
somehow,
that, he's unable to be led
Yeah.
because he's a young player who knows he's about to get $128 million.
You think they didn't try?
Well,
Of course,
that we don't know.
We're talking about two of the most soft-spoken, great players in the entire NBA, and they were, according to all indications and reports, they were totally fed up with Jordan, and somehow that's not on Jordan? I don't even see how we get there. If Steph and Clay, forget Draymond for a second, if Steph and Clay, and I've got it on pretty decent authority that even up to 3 weeks ago, they, quote, wanted him gone. If that's how those two feel, forget Draymond, how's that not on Poole, especially with what he went through,
Right.
which was obviously a mistake.
Well, I think that with what he went through makes it less on Poole because he went through what he went through, and the organization basically said, see you at ring night, Draymond. You get no punishment.
And why,
you
do
know
you
what,
think,
Draymond?
why do you think they did that?
You get a 3-day break from practice because, you go ahead and pick your own punishment. So if you're Jordan Poole, how are you going to react?
But why do you think the organization did that?
Because they thought that Jordan had it coming to him.
Oh.
Maybe not at that level.
Yeah, that sounds a little firm, but I get
that's
yeah.
basically what you're saying.
Not he had it coming to him, but he certainly had something coming to him.
Correct.
Not that, but he had something coming to him.
But he got that, and even if that was beyond the pale, if that never got leaked by TMZ, what do you think the reaction from the team would have been?
Even less.
Even less.
Even less.
And you're Jordan Poole, and you see all this, and yet, all right, Jordan, I'm Draymond. Now I'm ready to lead you. Hit the pike, Draymond.
But I have a very hard time believing that act was the first thing they tried. Like, I can't. There's no way. They've been too successful.
Right.
They're too smart. They're too good of an organization to have that be the first thing that they tried with Jordan's attitude.
I just can't imagine that his attitude had gotten so bad between he's a championship player in June and now in October he's getting knocked out. You're telling me in 4 months he's gone that far off the reservation?
How do we know that things were so perfect in June?
We don't.
And by the way, I can remember many a playoff game last year where we came in here livid with what we had seen the night before from Jordan Poole in the playoffs.
But it was not an attitude. For me, it was not attitude-based.
But we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know.
And we still don't know.
No.
Exactly.
So you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Like, I love that you brought up David West earlier. That's a perfect example. They won the championship and barely lost a game, and David West was the one to come out and be like, you guys have no idea what we dealt with this year. Probably the same thing. I'm not walking out of here now with the perception that when they won the ring a year ago, everybody went home for the offseason and went, God, we love Jordan Poole. What a nice kid. It just, boy, everything's like that's now. Knowing what we know now, I doubt it. I doubt it. This guy's screaming money time throughout the year.
Right.
I'm going to get the bag. And then it builds. It builds. And how, like you said, they'd only been together for 2 weeks before this happened.
Yeah.
And, quote, already everybody's fed up. So I don't know, man. The guy's doing something wrong.
I wonder how many times that same group, and you talk about the David West group, how many times they got together and thought, Draymond is exhausting. I'm about sick of Draymond Green and all his antics.
Probably a lot. But
it's any of these professional organizations, there's always going to be bumps in the road. It's just how you deal with it that defines leadership.
No doubt. But how often do we all get sick of the leaders in our life?
Very often.
Right.
But then how do you deal with it?
That's
as
right.
a leader,
Absolutely.
how do you deal with it?
And
it defines you as a leader in terms of what you do.
I am of the belief that he has often done the right thing in those situations. That one in training camp last year was not one of them. Big Dave in San Leandro with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Big Dave, what are you doing?
Hey, just talking to you guys real quick while my kids are running around inside screaming.
Are you being a leader, Big Dave? Are you leading them right now?
I heard some of the comments that you made, and it's true. You can't give them everything they want. No doubt about it.
That's
and
right.
You can't let them pout either, right? Like, I'm the pout because I saw something on TV. No. So, yeah, it's the balancing act right now, but I definitely wanted to chime in. First of all, Draymond Green is a hell of a leader. Are you serious right now? Like, that wasn't even what I wanted to kick this off, but, man, he the Warriors win every chips about. We all agree to that. But just his intensity, the fire, he pumps these guys up. He's a leader. And also he's a leader because guess what? The younger generation is not the same. Every generation is different. We know that, right? I used to call him the Gary Radnich and propose trades when I was in 8th grade. You know what I mean? When he was on TV, listen to myself and all that. That was the old media. There is new media. But we have to respect some of that because Cameron and Mace came out with that. They'll plug into the streets. They're not going to just run their mouths and say stuff that doesn't make any sense. Young generation's different. Right during the Lakers playoff series, they came out and they were clowning on Jordan Poole about all that business about spending, I don't even know what her name was, something Spice, and like spending $1 million in a date. That's when he slumped. They're all listening to that. They're hearing that. What did they come out with next? Just recently. They gave you details in terms of what he said to Draymond Green when he got knocked out. So, yeah, Draymond Green's a hell of a leader because guess what? This is sports. This isn't everyday life. You know what I mean? And if you can be disrespected by a 22-year-old like that when you're an NBA champion, like a Hall of Famer, and he's going to say the outlandish things that he said, I'm glad he knocked him out because guess what? If you hadn't done nothing, what would community say and all that?
Dave, unconfirmed what he allegedly said at the time when he got knocked out, and I hate to fact check your entire call, but it was $500,000 by Jordan Poole on that date. It was not a cool million. I appreciate you riding with me since the days of Gary Radnich back when we were on TV during the radio show. Now we're live on YouTube and Twitch.
Exactly. Who's got a TV anymore? What the hell is that?
Right?
I mean, they got a TV, but who's got cable? By the way, I do. But anyway, let's sort of put it this way. Let me ask you this: if Draymond has been the number one on-court leader for this team for the last handful of years, if he's not a good leader, then how have they won so much?
They have the best player in the league doing best player in the league things.
I mean, that's not.
Do you think without
that much better?
Without Draymond Green's leadership, is Steph unable to? I can't hit a three without Draymond's leadership. I mean, I think we're overplaying Draymond Green's leadership in terms of winning championships.
Respectfully, that is a simplistic way of describing why the Warriors won championships. Because Steph can hit a three. There's tons of people who can hit a three. There's other great players, Giannis, LeBron, through this run, who are at minimum right there.
If
and actually,
Draymond doesn't play with Steph, how many titles do they have in Golden State? The answer is 0.
None. Right.
And
so
you could argue that Steph could win without Draymond more than Draymond can win without Steph.
I think, you can absolutely argue that. I just think, again, the results matter. If he's the leader and they're winning, there's got to be something good in there. Again, I'm not preaching perfection.
Right.
He's not.
Right.
He's not. He is someone who is prone to let his emotion take things too far. And it has happened often, repeatedly, but not always. But if he's not doing anything right, if he's not at least good at leadership, then how has this thing gone so well?
Well, he's both good and bad. And I think that's the epitome of Draymond Green. He's a positive and he's a negative at the same time. And just depends on what moment where you catch him. When he's going to Boston and, the Boston Celtics fans are blank you Draymond and blank you Draymonding him out of the gym, well, in that moment, his leadership was non-existent because he got taken out of the game by a crowd that he all but incited through his own brand of wanting to ramp everybody up.
But then he reacted well, and in Game 6 was very, very good.
Yeah,
and they won a ring on the road. I don't look for perfection. I don't think there's any shortage of mistakes. But even those mistakes, I think often, most of the time, he reacts pretty well.